Welcome to the Crystal Dome Retreat. We have a couple of different musical temples, but this is perhaps the most acoustically tuned of any geodesic dome that I've ever been in or could find on this planet. And it's enhanced with the crystal energy as well. So I'm going to just do a little improv piano. And if you want to take, I don't know if it's possible, Dan, but if you want to rove and kind of go up with the camera up top and shoot above down, that can be fun too. Okay. Let's have a chat about 2016. You know, I've looked at a lot of the transits, and I'm going to read a few oracle clips about 2016, but I've meditated on it after looking at the astrological transits. And I'd have to say that 2016, first, in the Chinese year, it's the year of the monkey. So what we can count on this year is a lot of what is called, quote, monkey business, unquote. Meaning that it's a year where there's a lot of innovation and newness coming in, but to get that newness in, it's going to be a lot of deconstruction of things in the world that people aren't quite ready to deconstruct. And we have different countries living at different time zones on the planet. And there are certain revolutions going on. And there's a kind of a world war happening between the two factions of Islam, Shiite and Sunni. And that's impacting Saudi Arabia, Iran, Syria, and the whole politics in the Mideast. And I've yet to cast the individual charts of those countries. But I remember when I looked at Egypt's chart, you know, a year before, 2 years before the revolution, I saw in the chart of Egypt, Uranus was going over the moon in the Egypt chart. So I figured it's got to be a revolution, because the moon is the subconscious realm, and Uranus is an electricity and a new energy coming in. Now, working with the charts of countries is the most challenging of all astrological activity. And I remember Dame Ujar telling me about that. There have been some great astrologers, but I don't know of anyone yet in this time that's really geared towards the astrology of nations and what's going on in nations. I mean, obviously Americans look at the American chart, and there's a real reconstruction going on there because Saturn has gone over the ascendant of the chart that I am aware of for the United States of America, the USA. And as Saturn in the first house, if you were a person, it has to do with deconstruction, reconstruction of how America will put itself out into the world. And in a certain sense, America already has through the company called Google. If you think about it, America has a new image of itself that Google is creating. But you have also the leftover Obama era about to close. You have a whole deconstruction of an economy built on natural resources. And the whole new economy is built on kind of consciousness technology resources, we could call it. So there's a new energy coming in there. And as an astrologer, I get people, interested in, tips in the stock market and this and that. Economics is part of astrology. I tend to prefer to focus on personal growth and development and healing. But what's coming in right now is a whole new era whereby primary resources, whether that's oil or wood or electricity, in various ways that electricity is generated, there's a whole new era of, you can't exactly call it free energy, but you can call it ecologically correct energy that isn't mutating and destroying a whole ecosystem by its being pined. Just this day, an email came in from the man who wrote about the reincarnation of Edgar Cayce being David Wilcock. So he just sent me something, and this very day there's a really powerful shift, a subluxation in the Circadian plate, which is offshore Northern California, Oregon, British Columbia. And it's a kind of a danger signal for an earth change. And it may very well be that 2016 is going to be a year of dramatic and surprising earth changes. And it's how we adapt to that that's going to make a big difference. And how we can move to a solar ecology and working with a new energy. And I have read financial pundits that says the price of gold, which has already dropped to $30, whatever it is, a gallon, whatever it is going to drop another 50% down to 15. So there's a war going on over oil and between Saudi Arabia and Iran right now. And Russia plays a role in that too. So I don't want to get too much into that, but how about I'll have a look at the present positions of the planets, which is very interesting. I think the first one to look at is probably Saturn in Sagittarius. And in January, and I'll look at the date, which is, I'll look at today's date, why not, 24th. And Saturn is presently at the 14th degree of Sag. And it's going to, move to the 15th for the second half of February. In March, it's in the 16th. And then there's a potent day, 25th of March, 3 days after the spring equinox, when Saturn goes retrograde at the 17th degree of Sag. Fortunately, it is within a few degrees of trining Uranus in Aries. And Uranus in Aries is bringing in the new wave of high vibration, free energy, we could call it. But that started with the demise of the nuclear plant in Japan. And my friend, I refer to him as a friend, he was a mentor in certain ways. I enjoyed every discussion I ever had with Jose Arguelles. 3 days after Fukushima, he left his body and left the planet. Because for years he'd been saying that our reliance on nuclear energy was going to turn out to be a nightmare and a big planetary mistake. So we've got to reinvent ourselves as a species as to how we take in energy in different ways, in terms of how we take it in from food, how we take it in from earth energy, how we take it in from atmospheric. So that's a big one. And Uranus, let me see if I can find an interesting poem for you from my own oracle, which I wrote in a 30-year time period based on Hebrew gematria, because I realized that a lot of the young astrologers aren't really astrologers. They're just looking at the Sabian symbols and riffing. Sometimes that riffing is interesting and allows for kind of a free-form counseling, but the symbols themselves are pretty trite. That was a paid assignment that Dane Rudhyar had. I think it certainly opened up symbol reading, but the symbols are very trite. So I'm going to see if I can find you my symbol for the 17th degree of Aries from a zodiac oracle. And that 17th degree is going to be connected, in a certain sense, to a major earth change. Here it goes. This is the 17th degree. Listen for a band of prophets coming from a high place with harp, snare drum, reed, flute, and lyre. Not one synthesizer among them. What is this dark, unearthly light? Who comes this way, arrayed like an army for battle? Turn all the atoms face to face. Season the story with herbs, spices, colloids, and alkaloids you never heard in the Haggadah Tov. So this particular degree is 2 or 3 days after what was what you could call the Exodus from Egypt degree. That, according to the meta-history, was created by a volcanic eruption on the island of Santorini, which put the lava and ashes in the atmosphere and created the plagues that you read about in the Hebrew Bible. But it was something that, with a little foreknowledge on the part of Moses, or Moshe, who I believe was a high priest in the Egyptian tradition at the time, allowed him, combined with some guidance, I think, from Syrian culture, to shepherd a whole people out of Egypt through the Sinai to eventually down near Qumran, where the Essenes were established. Anyways, that's meta-history. We won't go on with that. But the Saturn at that degree means that we have to reconstruct our world after a kind of an exodus. So what I suggest for people listening or watching, go into your own personal mythology and find out what it is you need to leave behind at this point in time, and how you're going to reconstruct yourself based on a new energy source. So if you've been in a job that you don't want to be part of anymore, and it's paying the bills and the mortgage on your house, time to unplug and use your inner guidance and your creativity and your connection to community to reinvent yourself. It's that simple. The dynamics of it can be a little bit impinging on your, how shall we say it, your personal need for safety, or, you know, you have to break a paradigm apart to get the energy, the core motivation, and recreate your world. And that's on a personal level, but 2016 looks like it's going to be on a collective level that that's going to happen. Let me check out the degree for Saturn right now. As we just looked at Uranus, Saturn is going to go as far as the 17th degree of Sag. Which is going to be, what is it? I'll find it here. It's 257. So this is my particular mythological degree for Saturn right now in Sagittarius, which is making travel a little bit sketchy on our planet, and it's anchoring a new energy coming in for education, one could say, Sagittarius. So the particular degree reads like this: we are the bees of the invisible, carrying secrets of the ark through this wilderness. We will portage the control panel like a spirit canoe for the whole Earth crystal grid. Bury it in a cave not far from the temple. Hide it from the infidels, frequency raiders, electromagnetic magicians. Envelop it with a blue light like a rainbow hidden in a dark cloud, or a broken heart holding the covenant, the secrets we carry, Urim lights, sacred vowel patterns and permutations. I'll continue. Consult your treasure maps. This would be the 17th degree. Sagittarius goes retrograde at this degree. Hover, track the great link dividing all our circuitous trade routes, waveforms, diaspora, outposts. Ride Shiva's carpet en route to the king of riddles and earth magic, King Solomon. Fly with the falcons, following Hiram of Tyre, gathering the gold of Ophir for Yedidia's temple. Go with the Silk Road, nomad, stake your claim with Sabek. It's an interesting star in Sag. Hold high the snake skins of Ophiuchus. We are the wanderers, night sky magi, navigating by quasar and novae, decoding magnetic fields, geysers of antimatter. So, we've been having a deep energy change in our solar system. The outer planets have flipped over. People are considering that, you know, a pole shift on the planet, electromagnetic, could happen. And it would be destabilizing for a while when it does. I mean, Greg Braden pointed out that a few years ago, he's not talking about it anymore. I don't know why. Maybe he's been closed down. But he was talking about how they had to rework the runways at certain airports in America because magnetic north wasn't where it was. And it seems to me that probably Russian scientists know a lot more about what's going on with the Earth grid because they're open to the newness going on. So 2016 may be, how do we say it, a a couple of nudges, kind of like chiropractic shocks to the planet. And there will be some earth changes in various places that will certainly shake up the economy and shake up politicians and shake up whatever. But there is tremendous opportunity to move into the new paradigm this year. And the new paradigm means leaving pharmaceuticals behind and going with energy medicine. I'm not particularly happy even with naturopathy right now because it's connected to businesses that are marketing certain health products in little capsules, and it's not the same as pure energy medicine. People are going to have to make their own medicines in the future because they will be reliant again on herbs and tree barks and the capacity to potentize, which takes some time, and I do it with crystals. So the monkey medicine I've been talking about is going to present many situations that seem like small-scale disasters that are really just tipping the scale to a new paradigm. And that will happen financially this year, that will happen in relationships this year for people who are juicing relationships for their soul growth. And 2016, in a certain sense, I would call it the turning point. And we'll have a few questions from my small little group here in a bit, but let me kind of calm down and play piano again. Well, have a wonderful 2016, and may the new paradigm be kind as you unfold into the monkey medicine of the year to come. Thank you for watching.
So did you want to ask questions now?
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, let me...
Yeah, thank you.
Okay. Well, we got two wise old souls of different temperaments here. We're going to ask a few questions about 2016. We'll see what happens.
My first question is, what do you think is happening with that great alignment of the planets? Apparently there's an alignment happening for the next 30 days. A bunch of planets are all lining up in a line.
Yeah, I saw that's a beautiful thing to star watch, eh?
Yes.
It's, you know, I haven't looked at the degree symbol of it, but it seems like it's a star step configuration that allows for the integration of mostly inner planets, but I think Pluto is not one of the visible ones, you know? And I didn't mention Pluto, and I certainly should. It got bumped by astronomers to be not even a planet. The news is that they're finding something out past Pluto that they think is big enough to be a planet. But Pluto in Capricorn, it just moved past one of the most important degrees of the zodiac. Hold on a second. I believe Pluto's at about, it's in the 15th or 16th degree right now of Capricorn. Yes. All of January, it's in the 16th and then moves into the 17th in February. And it keeps going. So I'll read you a little bit again. And that would be, let's see here, 270, 286 and 87th degree of the zodiac. We were fruitful, we multiplied, we gathered a double portion. Come with us to the western edge of the Milky Way. Watch the golden cherubim stretch the strings across the tortoise shell. Listen to our little sister, Chi Nua. Weave her tapestry of tones, trap them in a satellite dish, broadcast these patterns from the capstone to all the relay stations, universal portals on the grid. Listen, the wind is whistling through the curtain. Kol ha'olam, through the mountain passes of Peru, geometrical etchings appear in the veil. Pyramids on the face of the crystal. The archetypes of all created things are woven into the paragod. Whispers in the space between Keter and Chokhmah, you can hear the voice of our ancestors, the great whales, praising Atik Yomaya. So these degrees speak of a new creation coming in through the electromagnetic field where the frequency pulses. Yeah, there'll be some shifting in the matter level of it, but really the energy wave that's behind that is in our best benefit. Or as we say in Hebrew, Kol HaKavod, everything is majestic. So Pluto is the planet that's been at a station for the longest time. It was about a 7-year thing, and there was this, it was square my particular sun in Libra, and there was this fixed energy going on with Uranus in Aries, Pluto in Capricorn, something in Libra, and something in Cancer as well, in the cardinal sign. So that particular energy now, which has been, how to say it, a 7-year shakeup on our planet, is now impacting consciousness and becoming a positive recreation for the planet. I wish I could be more precise in how that happens, but maybe that's not in our best interest. Yep. Was there another query there?
Well, I have another just query, and that is like everything that you're saying. December 21st, 2012 was obviously a major stepping transition period.
Yes.
And that didn't become evidence for some people as anything big happening, although it feels as though 2016 seems like a certain critical threshold. And we know, like you were saying, that the outer planets, their magnetic poles have flipped, which is evidence of a higher energy coming in. The Mayans certainly talked about that transition, how we're moving into a greater energy.
Yeah.
That greater energy seems to be taking place now in 2016 with major transitions of government. So maybe a lot of that critical threshold, a lot of the heavy shadow stuff has already surfaced, and there's a lot more, but it's feeling a lot easier now than it was in the last few years as far as spiritually and emotionally.
Yeah, the crack is in the shell. There's still a lot of attachment to that shell energy, but the new energy is coming in and allowing for new paradigms for sure. You know, back to the ceremonial, I was in Sedona for the 12/12 ceremony, and I was there for the December 21st, 22nd, and I was there charging crystals at sacred sites, and I know that Drindala was quite busy online with bringing in that energy. And it's very hard to say that something can happen in one day when you're looking at huge time cycles. Jose Arguelles initiated harmonic convergence in 1987, August 17th of 87. There was more people on this planet celebrating and bringing in that new paradigm than at any other time in history. And I was here up near Queens Bay on Kootenay Lake, although I had done a lot of work in the Sedona area with my friend Andras Levi to seed harmonic convergence. And what we didn't really understand that we were doing is starting a kind of a coda that was at the end of a 5,125-year period of time, and there was a 25.6-year period of time from that date in 87 until December 21st of 2012. And the new energy coming in was certainly celebrated in the Mayan lands, but it doesn't come in 10 minutes. It's a new pulsation that takes some time to ferment and open up. And what you were talking about, 2016, sometimes things come in 7-year cycles. So I would look at a 7-year cycle starting on December 21st of 2012, 13, 14, 15, and then add another half a year, which would make it, not the spring equinox, the summer solstice, maybe of 2016, as a potent inrush time.
And 2019 would be a significant year as well with the 7-year gap.
Definitely 7 years further on, and the prophecies are that we have a whole new planetary culture happening by about 2020, 2021, 22, and we will have some help from other exoplanet civilizations by then. It's coming in.
Great.
Well, I think that's about it for today. And may the year of the monkey bring each of you ingenuity and the capacity to adapt and be instruments for the new paradigm in energy, in food, in how we use resources, and how we arrange human habitat. And welcome, and maybe you can give them a quick look through the
well, thanks so much.
of the camera around a bucky dome that starts at about 8 feet.
Great.
I had the good fortune of meeting Buckminster Fuller in the late 70s at a conference that was called the World Symposium on Humanity. And it took me about 40 years to find a dome of this quality for the acoustics. 2016 be a year of tremendous visionary and beneficial changes for you personally, as we see some very interesting collective consciousness changes on planet Earth. Thank you so much.
Thanks.